A possible data breach under investigation tonight at the State Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services. The personal information of people applying for aid through the Individual and Family Support Program was exposed today. The agency helps provide resources to people and families with developmental disabilities, and the website has been taken down, and people whose information may have been exposed will be contacted.
We had a beautiful, I guess, early fall day. It still felt like summer, but it's going to really feel like summer tomorrow.
We are absolutely going back to summer weather tomorrow. Zach's in the Backyard Weather Center with a look at those really high 90-degree temperatures.
Yeah, it's going to be a scorcher over the next 2 days. The only thing that looks like fall right now is the calendar. Now that we are into October, weather has absolutely no resemblance to what we would typically see this time of year. Let me show you what it's like outside right now. It at least is very comfortable currently. It's 74 degrees in Richmond. It is 75 up in Louisa. Currently 74 down in Petersburg, 73 in West Point, and also over in Kilmarnock. And we have clear skies, so it's been a beautiful evening. It was actually pretty nice today, even though it was a little bit on the warm side with temperatures in the upper 80s. But compared to what we're going to see tomorrow, today was mild. We see the area of high pressure back to our south and west. It's keeping everything very dry, and the atmosphere is beginning to heat up right now as this area of high pressure continues to strengthen. And again, we're not going to be alone in the record category tomorrow, as we will easily set a new high temperature record, and many of our neighboring states will do the same. Here's a look at your forecast for tomorrow. We will have mostly sunny skies, and we'll already be up to 91 degrees by noon. That's already tying the record high for tomorrow. We'll be on our way to a high temperature of 97 degrees. And it's going to be a 2-day record setter. We do have much milder air headed this way. I'll talk about that. And finally, a good chance of rain in the forecast. I'll show you when to expect that straight ahead.
Thank you, Zach. And developing now, we have an update on the death of a 10-month-old girl who was left in a hot car this summer. The medical examiner's office confirms that Luciana Diaz died of hypothermia, and the manner of death was an accident. Back in July, the child's mother told us she was unloading groceries when the car windows were down. She found her daughter unresponsive. Police told us then foul play was not immediately suspected, and no charges have even been filed. They're still investigating. He called himself a threat to society 3 years before he was released from prison. Then, months after he got out, police say he killed someone.
For more than a year, CBS 6 has been reporting on Devrick Quan Gale, who once wrote a letter to a judge saying he was in desperate need of psychiatric help. Gale's trial was supposed to begin today, but as Crime Insider John Burkett tells us, that didn't happen.
I did 11 years the hard way, and I made it, so I know I'm strong.
It's been nearly 2 years since a man named Devon Daniels was shot and killed in Richmond's Mosby Court.
You gon' see.
And the fate of the accused gunman still remains uncertain. In the last year, the trial of Devrick Quan Gale has been delayed 3 times. CBS 6 legal expert Todd Stone says while that may seem unusual, there's probably a good reason.
A murder trial obviously is a very final event. It's something that can impact the entire life for this individual, and it's really important that the system mete out justice and fairness for both sides.
Shortly after his arrest in February of 2018, CBS 6 began to explore Gale's criminal past.
I never knew how to label it. We just thought he was bad.
We discovered a history of violence that dated back to his teenage years, one that eventually landed him in federal prison.
Dear Honorable Judge E. Payne.
In April of 2014, Gale wrote to a federal judge in Richmond saying that his mental condition had gotten worse while he was behind bars.
Anger, aggression, and violence all seem to be reoccurring themes in my emotionally imbalanced life.
Calling himself a threat to society, Gale requested to be transferred from prison to a mental health facility for the remainder of his sentence. Without psychiatric treatment, Gale said he was worried he might hurt someone after his eventual release. But the judge sent a reply saying the court no longer had the power to amend the sentence. So Gale remained in prison. And shortly after he was released, police say he killed Devon Daniels. Before his arrest, Gale's mother said she could tell that something was wrong.
Quan was exhibiting behavior that none of us was used to, and a couple of the family members was a little nervous.
During a jailhouse interview last year, Quan Gale professed his innocence but acknowledged that his life had been full of warning signs.
From the time I was a child to the time I was an adult, the 11 and a half years I spent in prison, nobody addressed my mental illness.
As for the likelihood of an insanity defense when this case finally does go to trial, Stone thinks it would be a hard sell.
If the defendant is denying responsibility for committing the offense, then it's really tough to, in fact impossible, to say, well, I'm insane at the time of the offense.
Quan Gale will now go on trial for murder in February. If you want to catch up on this case, log on to our website, WTVR.com. Working for you in the CIB, John Burkett, CBS 6 News.
The CBS 6 Problem Solvers are always working for you. Call 254-3672 or email us at problemsolvers@WTVR.com if you're the victim of a crime, a scam, or a fraud. Or if you've had trouble navigating a surprise medical bill, you can visit WTVR.com/yourbill and send us your information. The CBS 6 Problem Solvers have already saved viewers more than $2,300. If we think we can help, we'll get in touch.
A local woman tells CBS 6 she did not realize she was pregnant until she was 7 months along.
I had a certain reality that I was focused on, and it just didn't even pop into my mind that I could have been pregnant.
And now she hopes her story helps families across Central Virginia. The common disorder she believes stopped her from realizing she was about to become a new mom.
Running a 10K and winning would be a big feat for anyone, but for a 9-year-old boy, it was a complete accident. Zach?
But first, don't forget you can join the effort to save lives from breast cancer. CBS 6 is a proud sponsor of this year's Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk with the American Cancer Society. All of the money raised goes toward breast cancer research. There are so many ways that you can get involved. You can lead a team or you can join individually. Zach?
Hey, Reba. Time to go back to school.
Yeah, no, you remember those big fat pencils, the erasers, those tiny desks?
Yeah, I remember having to write a lot of lines on the chalkboard.
Why? Because you were in trouble all the time?
Trouble? Me?
Mm-hmm.
Me?
Go back to school with CBS 6 This Morning. Weekdays 4:30 to 7. Meteorologist Nikki D. Ray.
Well, I start out on my route pretty early in the morning, so I do get to see the sun come up. I'm a people person, and I really do love dealing with the public. And if you have good customer skills, this is a good job for you. This is a great place to work, and you should come here because we have a great benefit package. Start your career today at GRTC and become a bus operator.
Apply today at ridegrtc.com. From high cholesterol to fighting infections, these little pills can make a big difference, but often at a big cost. That's where Rodney Willett came in, helping lead a local nonprofit. Rodney worked to get medications for thousands of uninsured Virginians at no cost. Now Rodney's running for delegate because he knows it shouldn't take a good deed to get good care, and that every Virginian deserves high-quality health care without the high cost. Rodney Willett for delegate.
It's been reported that there's a cyber attack on business every 39 seconds.
Ouch. I don't even want to think about it.
Comcast Business has a solution. We go beyond fast with a cloud-based security system that automatically updates so you always have the latest protection. Phishing, malware, risky sites, it can help block all of that.
It's one less thing for us to worry about.
One more way we take your business beyond. For a limited time, get fast internet and voice for a low price. Call 1-800-501-6000 today.
I'm Deborah Rodman, candidate for Senate, and I sponsored this ad.
It's Donald Trump's playbook, and Siobhan Donovan brought it to Virginia. Siobhan Donovan wrote the Republican bill to let insurance companies deny coverage for pre-existing conditions. The American Medical Association says plans like Donovan's will be devastating to the health, well-being, and pocketbooks of millions of Americans. And Siobhan Donovan voted against Medicaid expansion for 400,000 Virginians. Siobhan Donovan, using Donald Trump's playbook to attack your health care.
She wanted a roommate who could help with the cooking. But she wanted someone who loves cats. So we got Chris Walda.
Dinner's almost ready.
But one thing we could both agree on was getting Geico to help with our renter's insurance. Yeah, switching and saving was really easy.
Pick it all up. Good.
Could use a little salt.
Visit geico.com and see how easy saving on renter's insurance can be.
CBS 6 Sky Tracker, sponsored by JES Foundation Repair.
Tonight, we have a story about the powerful grip of mental illness. A local woman who suffers from a common disorder says it kept her from realizing she was pregnant for 7 months.
Our Jake Burns tells us about her journey and why she hopes her story helps families across Central Virginia.
9 months ago, little Rowan entered the world.
What? We're singing.
A life-changing moment for his mother, Caitlin Reynolds.
And just be able to dream about what his future is going to be like.
Reynolds and her husband wanted children, but Rowan was a surprise.
Yeah, he's good developmentally and no signs of anything going wrong.
But not the kind of surprise you may be thinking.
It can be a battle sometimes.
At the beginning of 2017, Reynolds was newly married and working her dream job at the Maymont Foundation. She began to experience a manic episode that she says led to sleepless nights and problems focusing.
You think you're on top of the world. I thought I was on top of the world, but I was basically kind of in my own reality. You know, during that time, I was dropping the ball at my job, and it was causing a lot of discord in my marriage.
Eventually, she resigned from her job and was then diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
Once I came down from the manic episode, I went into the depressive episode. It's kind of like once you're in that depressive state, having blinders on like a horse that you can only see through a lens that is very foggy.
In the months that followed, Reynolds says she began to gain weight.
I had a certain reality that I was focused on, and it just didn't even pop into my mind that I could have been pregnant. This is my mom with her grandson for the first time.
It was at a gym class last October. Reynolds says her pregnancy finally became clear.
I touched my stomach and it was hard. And I thought to myself, well, this class is either really effective and I have six-pack abs, or something is up. I thought I was maybe a few months along, but when we went to the doctor the next day, you know, they told me I was 7 months pregnant.
During those 7 months, Reynolds says the power of her depression masked her reality.
That's where I went doing his scholar pose, thinking very deeply about coming into the world.
At first, Reynolds says she experienced all the emotions you would expect.
It just takes extreme transparency and vulnerability and not allowing shame to overtake you. It's hard to understand something when when they look fine on their exterior, but when their behavior, like when their mind is not in the right place, it's hard to really understand if you haven't been there yourself.
In 2017, health officials say 46 million Americans experienced a mental illness. More than 11 million suffered a serious mental illness like Reynolds.
It's even hard for me to understand, you know, disease like schizophrenia. Like, I don't understand it, but it doesn't mean that I judge it. And so I think we're just afraid of things that we don't know.
Changing that stigma is why Reynolds is sharing her story. She now works for the mental health advocacy group NAMI Virginia.
I call him my little baby spy, that he was working within me when I was in my lowest state and was determined to be like this ray of sunshine coming into my life.
While Reynolds still struggles with her depression from time to time,
having a cute baby sleeping on your chest there's nothing better than that to calm you down.
Rowan now makes her life's purpose clear.
I can't wait until, you know, every single stage of life that he goes through, be able to walk him through that. And he makes me want to, you know, fight the disease so that I can be there for him.
Reynolds is in charge of NAMI Virginia's annual awareness and fundraising event. It's called NAMI Walks and kicks off Saturday morning. Registration is free, and we have info on our website. Working for you in the studio, Jake Burns, CBS 6 News.